Hello, everybody. Yes, and welcome into another update with the Chief. And Chief Executive Phil Holden joins us now. And Phil, there's only one word on people's lips at the moment, and that's COVID. It's back. It seems very familiar, doesn't it?
It does. Unfortunately, we're back in territory that we are familiar with. It's regrettable that we're there, but we are there. And I guess the key message that I have for everybody is to not panic. We have been here before. We've got some very detailed protocols and procedures in place, and we'll be issuing those to the entire database very shortly this morning. The team are across the details. I mean, obviously from a racing perspective, it's a little bit different than the last time we were here because we've got some more clubs in the mix than what we had previously. And we'll work with them to make sure that we hold their hand through the process and they understand what they can and cannot do. Our primary concern on the racing front at this particular point in time is Cambridge. It's simply because of its location and the event and the timing of that event, and obviously movement of horses, drivers, trainers from Auckland. But we're working on a number of scenarios with the club in relation to that. So Darren will update everybody later this morning in terms of where we are, what the orders and directions mean, how that all manifests itself operationally. So my key message to everybody is to not panic, take a breath. We've been here before, we know what we need to do, and we've got a clear process in place. We will keep the comms up, even if we've got nothing to say. We'll say we've got nothing to say, but we'll keep the channel open.
In terms of Cambridge, I mean, you mentioned there that's the most immediate concern. Is that likely to go ahead? What's your gut feeling on that?
My guts, well, look, I can't really answer that, Dave. I mean, there are a number of options available to us, but my sense is that I think that we could probably get a result where it could go ahead, but again, we just need to work through that quite methodically. We have to deal with everything one step at a time based on the information we know. Now, given we've been here before, the Prime Minister's excellent in terms of those briefing sessions and the regularity of that. So there's one, I think, scheduled for 10:30 today. We'll know more today at 10:30, thereabouts. So, obviously our desire is to keep the event running at Cambridge as best as we can, but we just got to work through those machinations.
There was talk earlier in the week when I spoke to you about the new funding model that HRNZ's got going. Can you just tell us about that? What sort of feedback have you had to that and what progress, and especially in terms of the payment in arrears, which is quite a contentious issue?
Yeah. So first of all, I mean, in my last video, and I talked about the 7% movement. Now, I think I did a poor job in explaining to everybody what that actually means. So I want everyone to take that out of their head, because I got a sense from some of the feedback I've had from people that comment created a bit of panic. So I don't want anyone to panic. The 7% movement is simply in relation to what was budgeted last year and what we've got this year. So let's just take that off the table. The reality is that our total funding from code distribution has changed by about $1 million, simply as a reflection of the fact the arrangement that NZTR and ourselves had to come to with greyhounds. That's known and that's quite clear. So in terms of the club funding model, we've had lots of feedback from a number of groups, and that's actually been really good. And I've personally spoken to quite a few of them, and so has Liz. And so I think, we're fine-tuning our model. We're getting clarity on the costs and the pressure points, and we're talking to everybody and working that through. And we will get there. But it's again reflective of the fact that this is a new model, and it represents change and things are different. So again, we're open to that feedback. It's been great discussion, and I'm hopeful that we'll be able to address everybody's concerns as best as we possibly can, bearing in mind that we have a finite amount of money to play with. But the biggest issue is on the month in arrears, as you alluded to. So the update that I can have there is I had a very, very good conversation with Sam Moncure, who's the head of TAB's finance on Petone on Friday. And so they're clearly aware of the issue, not only for ourselves, but the other two codes, and they're clearly working on some plans to help us transition over the next period. So That could be fortnightly, it could be different ways of allocating the pots of money. So I felt very buoyed by that conversation, and I'm confident that we'll get a solution.
So does the status quo remain in the meantime?
In the meantime, it does. We've got our first payment from the TAB in terms of the government support package coming in. So, you know, we will transition everybody, or, you know, manage the process accordingly from there. So again, don't panic. We'll keep the comms up, and we're doing our best to manage the situation as it is.
All right, Phil, thank you very much for your time. And no doubt with the COVID situation evolving so quickly, we'll be in touch later today or tomorrow, but we'll keep in touch regularly anyway.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm committed to doing this as often as we need to. It's probably going to be daily the way this thing will move. And let's just hope that by Friday midnight, we're out of it.